I'm Madison Mills here at the Goldman Sachs 2024 Communicopia and Technology Conference, and I'm joined by the CEO of Amazon Web Services, Matt Garman. Matt, thanks so much for making time for us right off the stage.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we've got some big news from AWS that I want to start with. You just announced this partnership with Oracle, and I'm fascinated in this because historically Amazon has not always been the most bullish on Oracle, previously a little bit more of a competitive relationship. What did Oracle change?
Well, look, we've always wanted to have a broad set of offerings for customers. And so we've actually offered Oracle in AWS for the last decade plus. And you can run Oracle on RDS and have for the last 10 years. And so part of it was Oracle's willingness to partner with us. And we really sat down with them. And what we really thought about was how do we bring the best of AWS together with Oracle databases, where customers do like running on Oracle databases, and they're quite good for a variety of use cases. And so we sat down with the team and thought of how do we deliver a product that would be unique and interesting and bring that value. And so the teams really opened up, and they thought about how integrating backups into S3 could work. We thought about how integrating AI services into Oracle databases would work. We thought about how zero ETL could work so that customers can seamlessly use their Oracle database running inside an AWS environment with low latency, but actually use that data to do analytics inside of Redshift or other services. And the Oracle team was open to that. And so that was what really kind of helped us open up that partnership and think about how do we go deliver something that's unique for customers that actually delivers that value. And I think it took us a while to get there, but I do think it's a partnership that strongly benefits customers, and so that's something that's good for AWS, it's good for Oracle, and we're both really excited about it.
And we'll talk about more of the partnerships you all have, but I do want to talk about the conference that we are at, the Goldman Tech Conference, and Goldman released a list of its top AI plays ahead of the event. They had 9 names. Amazon was not on the list, but I'm curious, is the AI strategy from Amazon, is that a feature or a bug that it's not necessarily being listed as the top AI name in this space? Is it something where you all are kind of offering a lot of different competitive LLMs to customers instead of going full force on your own?
Yeah. So when we think about what customers want to do when they really think about AI, they want to get value out of that in their applications. And our end customers are customers of all sizes. They're enterprises, they're startups, they're governments. And when the kind of generative AI wave happened, we took a step back and said, how do customers really want to get value out of that? They want a really secure infrastructure. They have to worry about low cost. They want all of the best capabilities that are possible. And so then we went about and built an enterprise platform for customers to really drive AI into their applications. And what that means is it's not just one model. It's not just one feature. It's not just one particular application. It's a platform where you can use all of those capabilities, all of those models, and customers are going to want to use all of them, and oftentimes multiple of them together. And so we had this vision from the very beginning about how do you build a platform that helps people go and build interesting AI applications on top of AWS. And so that is how we're very excited about that. Now, some of that means that we partner on many of those models, and customers love using Anthropic models, which are today the best performing models out there in the world. And I believe Dario is speaking at this conference, and they're a fantastic partner of ours. And many customers like to use their models, but customers also like to mix and match. They like to take those models and then sometimes use Llama, open source models from Meta, and combine them together in interesting ways. And sometimes customers will use small models. Actually, a very popular model is an Amazon model around embeddings, where customers apply that to their data to better label it and use their data as part of their RAG index. And so there's a lot of those capabilities that customers are going to want to combine together. And our view is building Bedrock as a platform to help use all of those capabilities together at all parts of that stack. And sometimes it's data labeling, like from startups like Scale AI. Some of it's the models, like an Anthropic. Some of it's chaining some of those things together, like LangChain and other capabilities like that. There's a lot of those pieces that customers want to use, and we want to make sure that they can use all of those inside of the AWS environments and run it in their cloud environment and take advantage of the data that's living in AWS. And so that's how we approach that. We're also building AI into our own applications, into our own capabilities, but our focus is how do we help customers get the most value out of the applications that they're building.
talk to me about the strategy when it comes to your in-house large language models. Some competitors in the space have been very proactive on having a first-party LLM, like Google with Gemini, for example. What is your thinking on that strategically for Amazon?
Yeah, look, we also build our own models, and that's something that we're working on, and I would say that there's more to come there. But I think that again, there's not going to be one model that's going to rule them all, and I think that is a very different strategy than our other competitors started with. We started from this position of there's going to be a bunch of models here, and some of them will be built by Amazon, some of them will be built by other providers out there, and we want customers to be able to pick from the very best models that are available out there in the market today. And so if you start with that view that there's going to be lots of models, that it's not just my model, it actually really enables the partner ecosystem to get excited about building and innovating on your platform, because they know that they have just as much ability to go win business as you do. If you're very focused on only your first party models and nothing else is there, and maybe you can use other ones if you have to, that's a very different position for your partners than starting from, hey, there's a bunch of models, come and pick the best one. And so we're kind of partner first on that front, and it doesn't mean that we won't have our own, because we do have our own models, but that partner first focus allows us to really have that open platform, and we're seeing the customers like that. They like the ability to always choose what's the best performing model out there. And I think in the world today, where it's such a fast moving technology, the best model today may not be the best model tomorrow. And so if you put all your chips on, this is the one model that I'm going to bet all of my business on, you're kind of stuck if it's no longer the best model. But if you have a platform that has a bunch of models available, it's actually relatively easy to take advantage of new ones or add new capabilities from other providers as they come along. And that's the strategy that we've adopted.
More broadly, the ROI on AI has been a huge topic this earnings cycle for investors. I'm curious, what kind of revenue are you projecting that AWS could be getting coming in from AI specifically for your own business?
Yeah, I mean, we see the AI business growing very rapidly, and it's already a multi-billion-dollar business for us. And it's continuing to grow very well. And so I think for our perspective, we are fortunate and we make money in a number of different ways, whether it's from selling models, but also from the infrastructure of providers training large models on top of us. And so there's a bunch of those pieces where we can go monetize those. I think over time, this is a technology that has such huge potential to deliver massive gains for enterprises and for startups and customers of all size that I think the payout for us is it's very similar to our existing business, really. We go invest in infrastructure, we invest in compute, we invest in databases, we invest in technology, and then customers come and they pay us by the hour for it. And so in many ways for us, the model is not all that different than the core cloud model. It's a different use case, it's growing really rapidly, but it's a model that kind of how we've built the business up to a $105 billion run rate that we're at today.
And I hear what you're saying about offering customers this idea of choice. But it's fascinating, the conversations I've had with analysts even here today, there seems to be this undertone of an idea that Amazon is behind when it comes to generative AI, that Microsoft has the first mover advantage. How worried are you about that? Is that a concern for you, that perception?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be worried if I was, it's a partnership for them, by the way. It's not their own technology. And so that is an interesting struggle for Microsoft that they're also going to have to deal with, which is it's not their own technology. And there's actually, interestingly, in their last earnings announcement, I believe OpenAI was listed as a competitor of theirs, which is an interesting dynamic for them. But we like to partner, not necessarily compete. But I think, look, we're at Amazon. We have a saying that we're willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time. And for us, we felt that it was more important to actually build a baseline platform that customers could really go build real enterprise value into their applications on, as opposed to rushing in and quickly getting out chatbot technology that could, looks cool and allows people to write haikus and other things like that. But, that's not really the eventual place that the value is going to come from this technology. It's not just chatbots. And so I think a lot of others were quick to go out there. And by the way, OpenAI has great technology, so they have really good models. But there's a lot of other pieces out there. And I think the more you can be industry specific and understand how you help customers solve specific problems, the more you have a platform to help customers build really good RAG indexes like we have with knowledge bases, or build agents into your AI so that you can actually go and execute on various different capabilities. the more you can have some of these other pieces that are not just the model. I think the model was the first thing that the world has built, and now you're seeing a lot of these other capabilities, and that's why we're actually seeing, so Bedrock, which is that platform for us, is a really, really rapidly growing business for us. And I'm quite bullish that inference, which is really the piece of AI where the enterprises go and actually build it into their application, customers are going to want to build that on the platform where they have their applications running. And so we're increasingly seeing more and more customers use the Bedrock platform to actually go build real applications into their actual enterprise applications. And so, it's okay. You guys can you can say what you like, but it's. I think that taking a step back, thinking about what customers are really going to want over the long term, and taking the time to build that secure, great platform is going to be great for our customers, and I think we're already seeing that business really start to accelerate.
And you mentioned your chips business, so let's talk about chips. I'm just curious, in terms of your own LLM, what is your current usage ratio-wise of NVIDIA chips versus your own in-house chips for training?
Well, look, we don't share that specifically, but if you talk to customers out there, still the large majority of usage is on NVIDIA chips, and they have a great platform, and they're very popular with customers. That said, we think that it's a really large market segment, and there's a ton of potential for multiple options. And so customer choice is super important, and we're seeing, I would say, an accelerating pace of customers getting excited about both Trainium and Inferentia, which is our custom processors. And so Inferentia is the chip that's specifically built for AI inference. And that's now been on the market for about 4 or 5 years, and we're increasingly see customers use that. Particularly, it's really valuable for a couple of different use cases where there's small inference that needs to be done, where customers can really save cost. And we see sometimes customers save 60, 70% off of their inference bills when they move to Inferentia. And we're increasingly seeing really larger and larger customers do that move. On the training side, we're on our first generation of Trainium. And so a lot of the work that we've done over the last year or two is to get the software stack in a place where it can be really powerful for building some of these really large models. And so that's where we've seen a lot of the market and customer base progress over the last year or two. And we have customers like Ninja Tech, who built their entire model all on Trainium, and they're super excited about that platform. And we have Trainium 2 that'll be launching by the end of this year. And that is a platform that we feel incredibly excited about for really large training clusters, where customers can get outsized price performance gains relative to the traditional platforms that they've been using around NVIDIA. Now, that being said, we think that there is going to be a mix of use cases for a long period of time. And we support Intel, we support AMD, and we have our own general purpose processors called Graviton, but we also support NVIDIA GPUs, and we're going to support Trainium and Inferentia. And we think that there's a really large market segment, and there's room enough for customers to be using the best product for the use case for a long time.
But given the price point of NVIDIA chips, wouldn't it be beneficial for you to continue to rely on your own chips more and more over time versus? We
think so, and we think it is for us and for customers both.
So how long until you're fully reliant on your own AWS chips?
Like I said, I actually think there's going to be use cases for both over time. So I don't know that we'll ever be fully reliant on them, because I think that the NVIDIA team builds some great processors and some great products, and they execute really well. So I think there's going to be use cases where NVIDIA GPUs are the best solution for a really long time. And we're going to push really hard to open up and have more and more and more of those served really well by Trainium.
I want to end on the cloud business, because we're running out of time here, but obviously you've been with AWS since the beginning, kind of part of the founding of that cloud business, and AWS is the market leader in that space, but you still have anywhere from 80 to 85% of workloads running on premises instead of on the cloud. What's the strategy for getting more of that data onto the cloud?
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's a big opportunity for lots of customers. We see whenever customers make that move and they move from an on-premise world into the cloud in AWS, we see their innovation moves more quickly. We see them increase the agility of their organization, and we actually see customers reduce costs and just move faster over time for their business. And so there's a huge amount of value there. When you layer AI on top, you can take the very best AI models in the world, and if you point them at an on-prem mainframe, you don't get very good results, because there's just not much you can actually do when you access that data. The more we talk to customers, they realize that if they can move their data from these data islands when they're on-prem, whether they're mainframes or databases, and move all of those into the cloud so that they're accessible and labeled in a way that they can actually get value from all of those sources of data. That move to the cloud is really what unlocks that value. And I think AI is one of those things that's going to encourage people to do that faster. But there's a huge potential out there for us to help customers on that journey as they continue that move.
And finally, really quickly here, you mentioned on the main stage just now that most of your customers are not interested in building their own large language models, but they are going to play in AI.
Yeah.
How does that impact AWS's business moving forward?
Well, it's just, if you think about it, most customers don't build their own database either, or most customers don't, build those core kind of capabilities. And so there's going to be a few providers out there, OpenAI and Anthropic and Amazon and Google and Meta and others that are going to build these large foundational models. And then customers are going to use those. And our view is a lot of customers are going to modify those. They're going to add data to those and do kind of post-training runs. They're going to distill the models down to be very specific to their use cases. Then they're going to combine them in different interesting ways and use them in their applications. So they'll use those models, but a lot of people will use those core foundational models as those building blocks.
Matt Garman, AWS CEO, thank you for making the time for us. Really appreciate it.